My dear child, do not worry about me. Water, I recover quickly with the song of our birds, the love of trees, with movement, moments of rest, and the prayers moving around our earth. I regain balance with your heartfelt tears, your remembered songs added to the ones of so many now. Do not focus your energy on saving me. Something way more profound is taking place right now. Listen and observe. All of us, soil, water, plants, air, animals, and all our ancestors are calling you humans to us so we can save your species. We know and have known for a while that you do not have that much time left if you do not wake up to your birthright belonging to Earth and come home soon, real soon. We keep dying. We keep giving away our lives to shake you up from a deep and very long amnesia. Once you can allow the truth and quality of such love to permeate through your traumatized being and desolate soul, you will wake up from a lifetime of anesthesia to your immense grief and capacity for love. When you create containers of sacred beauty that opens your heart to what love truly is, then you will realize with a massive sob that you were loved all along. Always have, and for everybody, all of us, who you think you are saving. You have 5 years as a species to make up. Mature and remember in your bones that you belong to life.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you, Azul and River Dart.
Well, we met by the River Dart almost 15 years ago, right? We worked out. And I remember you on this tree doing your masters over the river. And I'm very moved. I'm really moved the way you read it. It's brought it even more to my presence. So just to weave everyone, so this message was given to me by the River Dart on the 2nd of December 2016. And here we are approaching the 5 years that she talked about. It will be on the 1st of December 2021. And in 2018, you and I had a conversation already where you shared how this message touched, moved, inspired, orientated you, or challenged you, or whatever it felt. And here we are 3 years on. Much has happened in your and my life. And I wondered this time when you read it, if something in particular or a sentence or some part of that message touched you particularly, as it is alive and we have also matured. I wonder if you can speak to that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for letting me read it. It was beautiful to read it again and to share it out loud. I felt a certain determination while reading it. A certain grounding also. Feeling really the sincerity and urgency also of the message. And the waking up and the love both came to the foreground for me, because I'm noticing that in my work now too, a lot, that the more I speak from the heart and with love and having sort of a really strong connection between the heart and the head. Whatever you then speak is very powerful, and it reaches someone. But if it's just head or just heart, it is as is little, yeah, there's less power. So that's so beautiful about that message, emphasizing bringing that heart along. And the fact waking us up and needing to wake up within 5 years, then now reading it 5 years later, I know a lot has happened, a lot has been woken up from many different levels in society, different urgencies speaking through us, but also different longings waking up. And when I read that sentence, I was wondering also, are we enough awoken? Are we enough awake of being awake? Are enough of us awoken? Also, I know that everyone is important, but are then the people who have now a lot of influence, are they awake? So I felt a lot of questions in that we have 5 years of being awake. Yes, I see that a lot has happened and is happening at the moment at an accelerated rate. But what are we doing with it, and is it enough?
Thank you. I wonder if you could share with me a little bit about this 5 years, because I've been carrying this message, and soon I will give it to the sea. I've done my duty, and it was an instruction and it was a request, and I I had little choice, I have to say. It had to happen. It was a current in my life as well, my personal life as well. But I've been often accused of carrying a message of prophecy, and so I went to the River Dart many times when I still live in England, to ask her what she meant and to give me some support, because it's quite a big thing to say you have 5 years. I was, of course, aware of that. And so for me at the moment, the responses from the river was in two folds, and I'd love to have your reflections on that in your own life. And also, let's do that in two parts. So the first thing that she kept saying to me was, you have that time to prepare. After that, the time of preparation is over, whatever that means. And I can see that in different systems being reflected. That there is a collapse, a systemic collapse, and things are changing for sure. And so I understood this as being, you need to know where you want to live, who you want to live with, and maybe skill up. But after this winter, it's going to be harder, and perhaps we will have to meet more crisis and be more on the terrain, and be there to support and help and respond constantly a bit more to crisis. So that was my understanding. The second one was very strong, only a few weeks ago, was that it was time for the dying to die to our separation. Really, it's a ripening time for us to die to our separation and come back to soil and plants and water and animals and ancestors and all that is living, invisible, and well and wise, and come back to the web, you know, that message of absolute love, which changed my heart, of them waiting for us. But we need a death. There's an initiation happening, which includes a death. So I'm sharing that with you, Liam, because I know some of your sensitivity and also your work. I will mention it now. So your work with Drinkable Rivers, and also, and yeah, the listeners, you can have a look. It will be all there. You can follow Leanne, and also the walks. You know how you've walked this earth and how she touched you and held you, and that message which we're getting to the end. 5 years. What does it mean to you in in your ecology, in your cosmology, in in your being? I hope I was clear enough.
In the past 5 years, what I've been preparing in the as an element of these walks is reminding people that we are river families, that water is our bloodline, and that connects all our water beings, and we are one of them. And what was so beautiful to see, that whether it's children or mayors or companies or anyone I would share this with, it resonated. It was not something that they thought about before. It was like a new identity, but that people accept. And it's also something that is a connecting, the connective tissue. What are the last words in the message are of that belongingness. So emphasizing the river family that has been a gift through these walks, walking the river Meuse, that came to me. It's one of the messages from the river Meuse, and I've been continuing using it and addressing people as family members, and approaching companies and mayors also like that. That is much more a primary identity than what they now have in mind that their identity is about. That this one comes first as water beings. So that this resonance that I have experienced in that preparation and the time that of these 5 years, it gives me hope. It feeds my enthusiasm. Yeah. So then the dying part, or the separation, is also about this clinging on identities that maybe don't serve us anymore, that are indeed more identities of separating ourselves rather than of connecting us to each other. And a lot has to do with letting go of certain judgments that we have. And that is constantly what I learn from water, and also of the idea of drinkable rivers. The drinkable river will be there for everyone, all beings, every day, no matter what or how. But it can only be there for us if we take care. So that the realization of take care of what takes care of us, and that the us is then also part of this, all this. But the take care is a prerequisite. Yeah, that is foregrounding.
Ah, that was so beautiful to hear about the river family. I want to pick one thread that you mentioned, that the river Meuse called you, right? That's what you said. That was your message. She instructed your life, your work, your offering, your
Well, this walk, to do that walk, yeah, it was the first 1,000-kilometer walk.
Yeah.
Now, the Rupert River was the first river I could drink. So that was opening me to the world of drinkable rivers,
Yeah.
where I experienced a world where that's possible. But the most, and that is then a jump from about more than 10 years, almost 15 years jump from the Rupert River to the Meuse. So the Meuse invited me to walk along her banks for 2 months, 60 days, for 1,000 kilometers. Yeah, to get to know her. And that river actually had been feeding me, watering me all my youth. So where I was born until I was 18 or even early 20s, I drank every day treated surface water from this river.
I have a question, carrying on this question, is the more, I read the message thousands of times, and it is like a shift of orientation that I'm still being transformed by. And what I'm sensing with you and I right now in this conversation is your project, the Drinkable Rivers, is that, if I hear the message well, what I'm hearing is the rivers are calling all these people to them. What she's saying in the message is, do not worry about me. Do not focus your energy on saving me. Something more profound and is happening. Listen and observe. So you've been listening and observing a lot. But if we shift everything as, no, we're not there to clean the waters. I'm just trying something. I'm just experimenting. If I really take word for word the message of water and place it on your work, then what I'm hearing is the rivers have called you as a messenger to bring the humans to them. Rather than here we are as heroes and going to clean the rivers. There's a shift of, like the words human and humus and humility, those, it's
And
there is
humor.
there's something there in me. I feel it of, oh, this message is also to bring humility and humus and putting our forehead onto the humus, and to become true human again. There's something there, and I don't want to grab it because I don't want to grab anything anymore. But I'm being moved by listening to you going, oh, drinkable river. If Liane is not a shiro, if Liane is not a shiro going to clean all the rivers so we can drink them, okay, there's a paradigm there. And what is going on? If it's not that story, let's say it could be, but let's say it's not. What could be happening? And if you'd love, I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So it's definitely not that other version that you said. It's well, in that sense, then we are all part of the thread of heroes. or waking up of the potential to become a hero or shiro, because in order to reach a world or with drinkable rivers, or to reach to have a drinkable river, it will mean that all our actions are in service of that, and everyone every day, like there's no not, and there's also no middle way. It's either in that direction that your action is helping or not. That's one of the deeper realizations I had the last year. So I wake people up to the question that could work as a compass, personally, but also societally, and also maybe as a new kind of economy, to ask, does this action help towards a drinkable river or not?
Yeah.
Yes, share how you did it. We have to learn then and be inspired. No, stop it, reduce it, halt, find alternatives. And if you don't know, contain it. That is the practicality of it, what it could inform our lifestyle. But underlying that is indeed the recognition that with that, everybody matters, every day, every action.
What
So that's that's profound, because then that message of everything is connected, it's so concrete, right? It's so concrete, and it's not abstract, and it's not tomorrow, and it's not only in a holiday or when you have reached a diploma. No, it's everything, all the time. And there it's so in, for instance, the declarations that we sign with mayors and water authorities, but also children, we write our lifeline, and we say that we remember again, we put that to the foreground, that that the river, that these freshwater beings, bodies, are our lifeline. The you are, therefore I am, this Ubuntu thought, or however you want to call it, but the recognition of the lifeline, and that we are all dependent on. And because we are dependent on it, we take care, and we take our responsibility.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's very much in line with that message. And it's a culture change. It will be hopefully even an economic change, that if rather than trying to get to a better economic growth, or no, to get to a drinkable rivers, and that we will encourage practices, in inventions, collaborations that are in favor of this drinkable river, and that actually is then an element of success, that is then successful.
Yes. It became really clear at one point, at the moment, that what I'm listening to when I listen to you is the wisdom of water. You know, it's like for a moment I could see that the water in your body, that the water in the river, the water on this earth, and the movement, constant movement, of course, moving around, and your grandmothers, and your, you know, and the dinosaurs, and it's like, yeah, this is the death to separation. And as I'm listening to you, I'm listening to water. That's what I'm hearing right now at this moment, in the way you speak. That, oh, I'm listening to water, and there's something there that brings me closer to understanding the wisdom of the message that came about dying to our separation. Of course, we need all these different languages to touch different people. That's really, and I was interested recently to just remember again that the heart is 80% water and the lungs are even more. And the lungs is where the grief is held. And they need to move, it needs to move, as we know, you and I, we have shed some tears. And the heart has more water than the brain, and I'm like, it's all there. It's all there.
Yeah.
Listen and observe. It's like, okay, it's all. So I have a lot of shivers in my body listening to you, Leanne, and feeling, yeah, we're coming home. There's a homecoming right now. And yeah, there's no certainty because that is life. And I want to thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking
The-
to you.
about moving water, that the
Yeah.
fact that what I learned was that our oldest water in our literally in our heart and lungs in our bodies is 4 days old, and it's in the backbone,
Uh huh.
yeah, in
It's
our
fine.
backs, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
and the
fine.
spine,
Okay.
yeah, and um, and yet, of course, so from a water perspective, we're so young, uh, and yet all the water molecules are ancient, like you said, with the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
and so there's this beautiful, yeah, is it a paradox or that on the one hand it's so young and it's constantly refreshed all the time, all the time, all the time, and on the other hand it's ancient, uh, and that we are, yes, and we can let it speak, uh, yeah,
Oh,
that is just this, to be in the midst of this amazement, yeah.
oh, I think it's a good place to wrap up. I feel so is there anything that you feel you haven't had a chance to say as water? As the river Dart as well, Leanne, because it's so precious that you were so intimate to the river. Of course, the water moves. The river is that's also another kind of being. And just wondered if you'd like to say something to touch and mark the 5 years or end
uh,
the conversation.
yeah, well then, the past 2 years, I have written a book called Drinkable Rivers, which got released in Dutch this year in June, and I hope next year maybe in English. And there are 6 chapters, all named after rivers. So it starts with the Rupert River, then the IJssel where I grew up, and then the third chapter is on the Dart. And so there's a lot of the messages that the Dart has given me in there. And
Wonderful.
yeah, so
I look forward.
um, I hope that that can get into the world as well. And that is part also of that 5 year cycle of that preparation, right? Uh, this now has a life on its own, and yeah, let's continue to confluence together. And I am curious also for you then, coming to an end, right? Another kind of dying. When the transitioning from the delta mouth, where you are in right now, to the sea, um, how is that moving forward for you, and is the message transforming then now?
I am aware that there is a death coming, and I'm unclear how it's going to feel in my body when I no longer need to carry this message. When I look ahead at the 2nd of December, in a few weeks' time, with my book and my cards and everything that's accumulating to the 1st of December, I have very little idea of what's coming to me, and there's a sense of now I can die, not in a dramatic way. Yeah, now I can die. I'm going to do all this. It's a 5-year ceremony that is ending. Really, it's a 5-year prayer. It's a 5-year love. And this message has transformed my heart and has created so much healing for me. And the orientation that I have, that I find myself in now, is not in conflict now. My activism has changed totally. I call myself more of a soul activist, and which includes beauty and rituals and the land and listening. So, and I guess on a personal note, I'm reaching an age which is Saturn return, my second one. So I know I'm at the end of a massive cycle of my life. So I will let you know next spring what are the new little flowers that will grow. But yeah, there's my spine is straight when you ask me. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, thank you. Much love, and thank you for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you for the invitation, and much joy and love for the coming few conversations before finishing your journey and for taking on that message the past 5 years.
Thank you, and I look forward to your book in English.